Good evening, friends of Lock Nation. This is a great event for me. I'm having here in studio Oliver Ackermann, which is the brain behind A Place to Bury Stranger. Oliver, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Yeah. We're out here in Europe having a fantastic time. It's great.
Yeah, that's great because actually the guys, I mean, Oliver in particular, just give me the time at the moment. Actually, they're touring around Europe. I want to tell you later on where you can see them in Italy because we got 3 days happening really soon. So you just stay tuned for this barely hour actually we're going to spend together. Just to give you a small insight regarding Oliver, class 76 from New York, I believe. This one is the sixth album, which comes with A Place to Bury Strangers, which is called See Through You. Incredible album, which I had the pleasure to do a review. Actually, you can find on our website. Collector of Jaguar guitars, I can say that.
Sure. Yeah,
pretty much.
Collector or destroyer, whatever you like to say.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say the same. One of my questions later on. And also owner of Death by Audio, which is producing beautiful guitar effect pedals and providing bands like U2, Wilco, and Buddy Bones, The Dunes, Nine Inch Nails, and many, many, many more. Oliver, thank you very much, seriously, to having me here. I mean, it's an immense pleasure, honestly.
Thank you for having me, for sure. Yeah, it's great.
That's grand. Okay, before we start to go through the album and everything is around that, could I just ask you, out of curiosity, for your point of view, which one is the best place to bury a stranger?
Wherever you are at the moment. There was a friend of mine, Terry Turtle, who said that his interpretation of the band name was that when to bury a stranger was at a show, and it would like be where you would end everyone from being strangers with each other. So you would bury like the word or the idea of being a stranger, and everyone would be friends.
That sounds really pretty good answer. It's like a peaceful kind of end of the events, which is great. Just talking about Death by Audio, you're producing an incredible number of beautiful pedals, which they are great for sound and design. Though when I spoke with my bass player Dave, it was like, oh geez, just ask him about that. How did you come out with the idea, and how did you start that?
I was building things for myself. I wanted to kind of like take music further and see what could happen. And, at some point when you try a bunch of effects, you imagine there's probably something else. And I wanted to find out what else that was. And so reading books, taking apart things, rebuilding television sets or anything you possibly could, and trying to make music with it.
So you're basically starting to bend circuit yourself from scratch, like you just taking something, putting switch and so on?
Totally, yeah. And then, trying to, figure out what makes these different things work. And then as time goes on, you start to understand these different technologies and you kind of dive into all of them different things. And now we're doing crazy things with like computer programming and, working with cutting edge technologies that just come out every year and all sorts of stuff, and just experimenting. Sometimes it leads nowhere, but it's interesting to kind of like understand the different things that can happen with signals and all of that, and really sort of try to find a new sound and something that's exciting to utilize in like a show or for a performance.
Yeah. So your set of pedals are all being produced or most likely being created by you. You don't use anything from outside.
Maybe a tuner.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you didn't make a tuner for yourself.
No.
Shame.
Yeah, some people do that better. So, oh well.
I'll leave it to them. I'm not really that interested about that. Talking about guitar, your passion about the destroyer of guitars. Though I saw your last show. I mean, there was a couple of stories on the Rough Trade, the 5th of March in New York. And you were playing with a half Jaguar. It was actually like almost surviving there, but making a great sound. How did you make that one still alive? What was happening there?
I mean, you just learn to like build and work with whatever it is that you got. I mean, all you need for a guitar is it needs to be a stick with some pickups and some strings, and you got to have an open mind and a big heart, and then you can make music with it.
Sounds good. Are you getting really affectionate to music instruments as I do, and actually don't want to either fix them or throw them away? Or how does it work for you?
I mean, I don't know. I have all sorts of different guitars and things. Some of them are, you play until they bleed and they're barely working together and you make it happen and you glue them back together. I collect like wood from the forest and glue it back to make the guitar work and stuff. So, you want to be able to put on like a cool show and stuff. So you have to have something that works and, um, you know, build it as strong as you can.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. How do you feel going back on gigging and being in Europe as well? How does it sound after those 2 years of completely madness?
It was pretty wild. Like right when we got here, it was just kind of so insane. It was, we were like, the world is in such a crazy, terrible place as it always is in a lot of ways. And it was just pretty strange to be like, okay, here we go. We're going to go on another tour. But, every place we've gone, the people are so wonderful and so great and so thankful, I think, to have like even a break from all of this, just being locked indoors and all the stress and all of the troubles and everything. It's great to just be able to scream at the top of your lungs and, dance around with your friends and kind of see people again. And I think so. It's important, I think.
Do you felt that the restrictions so far in Europe they are tougher than the one they are in US, or is it kind of the same pattern in a way?
I think it's a similar kind of thing. It's like, living in New York, like people take it very seriously. So, because there's so many people all over the place all the time and everyone has to travel by public transportation and everything. So, um, there's all sorts of opinions of all sorts of people. So you kind of see it all, with the people who are real anti protesting masks to the people who are like, won't go outside at all and all sorts of things. So, you know, uh, it doesn't surprise me how people are acting. It's like you kind of have to just trust whatever you feel yourself is appropriate, and if you can help out your neighbors in some way, that's a good thing too.
Yeah. Regarding your personal experience during those 2 days, what did you do for? I mean, it sounds really weird to say, like, what did you do actually to look after your mental health? Because I mean, honestly, it's a kind of big topic for me because during lockdown, I started to suffer of tinnitus, which was related from stress
Oh
going
wow!
like, yeah, I
Oh
mean,
no!
my left ear
Right.
is a buds and fads. It's pretty
Oh,
fun.
yeah, crazy.
So, what have you done yourself actually to look after your mental health and your well-being during those time? Actually, you couldn't do that much, guess.
I mean, yeah, I mean, playing lots of music, even by myself, it becomes kind of weird and stuff at times or whatever. But I was doing that a lot. Hanging out with my fiance, we had a good time cooking food and trying to do sort of normal things. We were having even like Skype meetings with like either, family or friends or old friends and things. That was kind of good. And then as we started to kind of get back into work and stuff a little bit, that definitely really helped because you would at least like see some people. And, I think being having good friends really helps, to kind of make those things happen because there was definitely times there where it was like, I don't want to watch any movies or anything. I'm tired of this crap, like what is happening here? So, it's and also kind of like sitting around and not doing much. Like I find trying to kind of exercise really helps. I was
Yeah,
playing drums a lot and we would go on really long walks and stuff. And I think that's kind of you need to sort of get out of your normal elements and you start to spend so much time just kind of in rooms. It's good to try to get out.
that's good. Do you felt that New York went as well as London as a completely ghost city was a kind of a different scenario? How did you cope with that as well?
It was crazy. I mean, it was kind of really cool in a way because it was like you could walk around Times Square and there would be nobody in all of these streets. And it was kind of like what it seemed like more when I moved to New York in like 2002 years ago, where, there was no traffic or anything. It was kind of really nice in some ways. But there was also all these like Black Lives Matter protests kind of happening. And there was this weird tension going on in the city where it was like all of these people were sort of like, there was all this anti-cop graffiti and stuff, and people were vandalizing and smashing up cars and stuff, and there were people shooting off fireworks all day and all night, all over the place. It was kind of, it seemed
Was
like the world
intense.
was going to end or something, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely intense. I'm agreeing with you. Let's move on a more soft topic though, because I think like people is having enough for COVID. I'm having enough of COVID. Everyone is
Yeah,
having
no,
enough.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Just that's it. I'm not going to talk about COVID and restrictions
Yeah,
anymore. I promise you. Going to the album though, See Through You is a massive piece of work. I forgot actually it's been published. It's been out since the 4th of February 2022. Massive piece of work. There's a lot of overlays, and every single time I'm actually listening to, I'm recognizing different things and different kind of sound, and it looks like it's incredible. Amount of work behind there is aggressive, driven by extremely emotional on the other side. What's the work behind? What have you done like to create this beautiful journey of almost 1 hour masterpiece, 12 songs, which I can't even choose which one is the best side of it. Honestly, it's like wowza, and it's been like my 2022 didn't start any better. So
Oh,
what is the work behind?
yeah, I mean, it was kind of was written at such a crazy time. It was like the band was sort of breaking up at that moment, and so it was really emotional for me. It was like some of my closest friends were kind of, I felt like, sort of turning their back on me or letting me down in some kinds of ways, and so that was like this really weird kind of intense emotional thing. And then at the same time, there was other friends who were there who were like really propping me up and being really cool and really nice, and so it would be these strange moments of like, and because it was during the pandemic times, you'd be like alone thinking of all the depressing things that ever happened to you and all sorts of stuff, and noticing the areas around you, and that was no good. And as well as like, having some sort of outlet of playing this music and being able to talk about these things with this sort of music and being able to express these kind of feelings, I think in some ways can be sort of a real liberating feeling. And even just as a music listener and listening to music, a lot of times I'm drawn to a lot of kind of depressing sort of music, and that helps me actually feel kind of uplifted in some way. You're sort of like, there's some sort of camaraderie in that. It's like, you can feel that, the person is going through some sort of tough time too. And so that can kind of help work you through that. And as the record started to come along, I just sort of wanted to kind of encapsulate the whole sort of journey of that, with this record. So some of these, songs and how they were chosen sort of goes through that sort of emotional roller coaster that I was going through at that times. And it ends in a way of what was actually happening with the band, where we're reforming this new band and all of this kind of sort of great, potentially positive things were happening. And it seemed like, maybe we were going to get out of the pandemic. Who knows if it's ever going to happen? And all of these other kind of nice things of like, kind of getting closer with family and all of these things again. And that was sort of like a light at the end of the tunnel. And so it's sort of, that's the journey of the record. And what was kind of going on. And it in some ways, I think that a lot of times like the best kind of songs are those songs where, you don't have to like toil over them so much. It's like all of these things were actually happening to me. It was the natural progression of what was happening. They wrote themselves because of the life that, was being lived at the time. Sometimes you're like thinking of some imaginary idea, of like, I don't know, whatever it is, space travel or something you're never going to do in your entire life. And so to have this be actually what was happening and going on made it just like such an easy and apparent thing that just, flowed without there being any sort of effort or idea behind it, except for just the truth.
Yeah, completely agree. Do you think that's everything you are having inside and all the changes that are happening around you that have been completely taken out and put in the record? You can feel it actually is the complete representation of what you went through to this time.
I think so. And that's even like why I really like writing and recording at the same time, is because like while I'm writing those lyrics, like that's the feeling that I'm having. It's not like you wrote some beautiful poem and then you later feel a different way and then that's when you lay down the lyrics. Like, I'm writing those lyrics kind of at those times when that's happening. Or like you feel like you're playing the guitar and you want to cry or something like that, or you're feeling like those kind of things. It's like, when you feel defeated, but you got to pick yourself up and kind of go on. And that's like what was happening at that time. So, there's those types of things where it's like some people are like really incredible producers and they can kind of like make this magical thing happen, that wasn't really happening, or they can make some band sound incredible, in some sort of way. But I think that like some of the best stuff that I've ever recorded, and especially because I'm like self-taught and it's like I don't necessarily know. I never went to any sort of engineering school or anything like this. It really makes a difference when, you're connected with what's going on. Like you're going to record a good guitar take or write a good song or play a cool drum beat when you actually want to punch someone in the face or do something. It's like, that's that time when you capture something cool, and I think a lot of times that's even where sometimes music is lacking. Like you hear like someone saying some words that some producer said, and maybe they have a beautiful voice or whatever, but there's like no soul to what's actually happening. And I like music to be a little bit of a struggle and have a bit of a soul.
Yeah, without soul, actually, there is no music at all. There's just notes. Let's be honest.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You guys spending loads of time on the thinking, rewriting, putting on side, and producing an idea. How is the working process? I think now it's different because you change pretty much the band, isn't it? I mean, like it's reformed. But
totally.
How does
you work with those strengths of people and see how they like to work, and so you figure things out. And now we've been recording a lot of stuff where it's like very live and just kind of off the cuff, and we've been sort of capturing the band with like the feeling of the band and stuff. And this stuff that we've been writing recently and everything, it's like, not along with click tracks or anything, and just kind of sort of getting a good moment of something sort of happening. And in some ways, like, it's something that we always did live as a band, where like some of the songs slightly change or shift in those things. And that's kind of what we've been doing recently with the kinds of recordings and stuff. And that I think makes it more like a pure special moment, and it's pretty cool.
That's good. How many hours, days, and you spending guys rehearsing the songs?
I mean, we kind of had a lot of time to do it, so we sort of practiced for. We keep on playing together, so it's been like a year or two, maybe 2 years, sort of like a few times a week, so kind of a lot in a way, maybe like. But we also spend a lot of time goofing around and getting crazy and doing stupid shit. And so that's the fun of being in a band with your friends. So yeah, sometimes we'll just I don't know, walk around, whatever, but it's also, or then we'll be like inventing different things that we can do. We like built this like robot thing that we brought to a show, and we built some like synthesizer things, to make sounds, and some other crazy things, and experiment with this and that. And you kind of find some things which are really cool and special for all that.
Sounds good. I just want to remind our friends actually looking at this that you guys are going to be in Italy for the 25th of March in the Cinema Perla in Bologna, 26th of March in the Largo at Roma, 27th of March at the Legend Club, which is pretty famous, in Milan. So basically, you're arriving in the middle, going down after going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever been to the south, guys, like Naples or whatsoever?
We have. We've been to Naples. We played in Sicily. We've been to a few of those different places. We even one time we took the ferry from Greece and then arrived in the bottom of the tip of and stayed there for a couple of days. It was beautiful. It's so fantastic. Love Italy so much. Such great people, fantastic food, beautiful scenery. You guys have it all as a country. A great country.
We try to keep it real in a way, I mean.
We
have to package.
Yeah.
You guys across Europe at the moment, you said you're in Bucharest, right? Tonight?
Yeah.
Playing a show, right?
Yeah. We're playing tonight at Control Club in Bucharest, and we're heading down to Greece, to Athens, and then we're heading back up and then to Italy. Yeah.
Sounds good. And when you are not on stage, what are you doing on tour?
Today we went to Dracula's castle in Transylvania. So we
Fancy.
were there, yes. So we try to scare each other, I guess. I don't know. Well, if you can, we try to do things. You try to go to like markets and places and eat local food and see what people have to say. Try to see the places. But the tours are usually pretty full on. You drive, you hang out with some people in the area, they show you some cool things, you go to some bars or some restaurants and stuff, and then we're off to the next place. So
It's a lot of sacrifice and strength behind, and sleepless nights sometimes, isn't it?
totally, yeah, you sleep in the van all the time, so but it's whatever, it's extremely fun. So
That's the beauty behind that, in a way.
yeah.
Right. Regarding going back to the album in a sec, See It For You is, as I was telling before, album about almost 58 minutes, 12 songs, which is completely a kind of a different world for what is music at the moment. If you're looking at music industry at the moment, uh, even taking in consideration some noise bands, they prefer actually to release EPs, but this one is more for the grindcore scene, maybe, because who's gonna stand 12 songs of a grindcore band? And yeah, you can see that literally there would be like a releasing of singles or EPs or a small LP incorporation or split EPs. And if we were talking about the bigger picture, you can see that literally TikTokers and the general decrease of attention span is basically dictating the market. How do you fight that with an album coming with 1 hour solid music? What would you want to tell to the music industry with that?
I mean, I'm just old school, and I just love like old records and albums and the whole feeling. And that's just what this whole piece was really sort of about. And so maybe it's not the most popular thing, or it doesn't be what fits into everyone's TikTok video or something, but this is a cool journey, and I think that it's worth like experiencing and going on. And it's if we only had 10 minutes worth of anything worth listening to, we would have just put out 10 minutes, but this seemed like it was worth it for an hour of music. And it's I recorded over the quarantine like 60 songs or something, and so there was lots of other ideas and other directions of things and other things that we had done, but this was all stuff that really made sense together and really kind of spoke as one sort of complete piece. And I don't think I would have, I think it was there's something, I don't even necessarily know, like, when you're working on these things, like I couldn't put my finger on like what exactly is, the point or the reason or some of this stuff behind why we use all of these songs. But when you're listening to it, it just makes sense. Like the music just kind of speaks to you and sort of tells you what sort of it wants to have happen. So this just, it was what it was. It's like, you're almost kind of letting yourself sort of be a vessel for whatever the work that you made, is to sort of like communicate to you what it wants to be. So it's a little bit of a conversation. Maybe I'm a crazy person. I don't know, but I thought it, I thought it made sense. So, yeah.
Oliver, I wouldn't say that. I believe though that people should start to listen again, like a song from one. So let's say from A to Z, but it looks like at the moment they want us to reduce our attention span to 20 seconds or to 1 minute, and that's where my next question comes, because at the moment though, streaming is one of the way that literally I mean, the music industry goes through. I mean, like your work came to me through streaming. Um, what do you think about a single release instead of albums, B, algorithm elaboration, and the compilation themselves? all this small universe, what basically like is
Yeah,
reducing.
I mean,
No, you go on. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, I like all of those kinds of things. It's like different things are appropriate for different reasons. It's like while you're doing a short little something, it makes sense. There could be short films, there can be, interesting things that are on Instagram or whatever, and it maybe makes sense, or for like a little moment of your life or something. And then there's other things where you want to kind of like you're going on a journey, or you're on a train ride, or you're watching a movie or something. All of these things are like different things are appropriate for different things. If you're out dancing, you want to dance for longer than 30 seconds, so you want to have like music that goes places and, makes you want to keep on, fills you with that energy to kind of like be exciting or be a soundtrack to what crazy thing is going on in your life, and I think that, that even goes to show it's like different types of music don't even work in different scenarios. Sometimes, you can listen to some band and you can love this band, but if you're at like a club or something, it doesn't work, or when you're hanging out with your friends, it doesn't work. But if you're home cleaning your house, you're like, hell yeah, or something. So, that's the beauty of music in a lot of ways is, there's like, it can work in so many different ways, and it can work better or worse in different ways.
Sounds. The last question after, actually, I'm going to let you go. Actually, you have to prepare yourself for the gig tonight, which is really powerful from us. Well, I'm going to remember, though, for the Italian friends that they've been connected right now, there will be like 3 days, which is Friday 25th, 26th, and 27th of March, Bologna, Roma, and Milan. Just go and check it out, book the ticket, and so on. So last question is, do you believe that in a world that literally we're going in this direction, there is still a need for politically left-wing music, which is basically trying to deliver a message, even left-wing, right-wing, whatsoever? Or we should more focus on the beautiness itself of the music and just making beautiful music instead of giving a message, which will be like whatever, like fuck parties or whatsoever.
I mean, all of those things are important, and it's like, I'm not going to be, once one to give so much of a political message with music. It's more about like the feelings and the touch with the human nature and, the emotions and the, kind of sort of the environment and all sorts of kinds of things. But, I think do whatever it is that you want to do with your music. I think that that's a good medium to use in form of expression. And if you really want to say something that's really political, there's tons of awesome political bands like the Dead Kennedys or Minor Threat or all sorts of stuff, done really cool things. And, I don't know. It's like, those are cool bands. I'm glad that they exist, and there's people who do make interesting, cool observations. And I really like to welcome, as many different styles of music and types of music as possible. And I'm interested to hear what all sorts of people have to say. So keep on making music.
Lovely. Okay, Oliver, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And good luck for tonight. Just smash everything. Try to smash more guitars. I mean, like, save them.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool. Nice meeting.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Excellent.
Bye now.